Hello and welcome to our Facebook Live series here at Innovate4Climate. We're live streaming from our digital media zone in Singapore. I'm joined by Victoria Kwakwa, the World Bank Vice President for East Asia and Pacific. And before we get into the conversation, please do follow us at Innovate4Climate and tweet at us using that hashtag. The conversation will be live. Victoria, welcome.
Thank you.
Victoria, today you gave the opening speech at Ecosperity and at Innovate4Climate, and you made some incredible points about the connection between climate and development. I wonder if you could share some of those insights with our young audience.
Sure. Thank you very much. Look, climate or climate change has several manifestations. It's higher CO2 emissions, it's global warming, it's more intense and more frequent natural disasters, and it's also sea level rise. And collectively, all of these manifestations of climate change impact adversely on development prospects and a real challenge for development. I hear that about a third of arable land is being lost to these impacts. We also see that higher temperatures impacts adversely productivity. We see that it has an adverse impact on health through, for example, effects on vaccines and ability to have vaccines to vaccinate poor children. It impacts our ability to feed the populations and to keep food safe, and so on and so forth. So clearly, a major challenge for us to achieve development objectives. It impacts livelihoods. And as you know, livelihoods are the center of development. And so climate change is a real challenge for development. Our estimates show that about 100 million people will be driven into poverty by climate change by 2030. And about 143 million people just in Latin America, Sub-Saharan Africa, and South Asia will become climate migrants, having to move to seek new livelihoods and places where they can live more securely. So this is indeed a major challenge for the global development community.
Thank you. So we've heard about the risks and we've heard about the challenges, but could you maybe tell us a little bit about the opportunities as well, some of the conversations that you may have been listening to over here at Innovate4Climate?
Sure. I mean, and there are enormous opportunities. I think it's really important to focus on the opportunities, because a lot of time we talk about the risks, we talk about the challenges. But being here, we hear that it's possible with the right approach and the right investments to bring about $26 trillion of economic benefits in the next several years if we invest in low carbon, climate resilient futures. And this is really important. We can do a lot through more innovative approaches to cooling, innovative approaches to battery storage that will bring more renewables to the energy grids. And we can do a lot more to address issues like sea level rise and so on. So significant opportunities with enormous economic benefits potentially. In Asia alone, you could unlock about 20 trillion of investments in the next several decades, with investments in the right urban approaches for urban development and urban transformation. So there is a lot going on. That is the possibility to address these challenges, but also to create new jobs, to create new livelihoods, and to create new ways that the people can live that are more sustainable.
Thank you. And you mentioned battery storage, you mentioned cities, and you mentioned sorry, you mentioned battery storage, you mentioned cities, and you mentioned sustainable cooling. And these are, of course, the priority themes for Innovate4Climate this year. I wonder if you could share one top takeaway from what you've seen here today or heard here in the plenaries.
Well, look, for me, a lot is happening in Asia. Asia is very climate prone, East Asia in particular, no matter which country that you look at. But it's also the part of the world where a lot is happening, which can really be the solutions for the challenges we face. And Asia, and a place like Singapore, is trying to do so much and trying to overall live more sustainably. I think the key takeaway that there's a lot that we can do, and that Singapore in particular has a lot that's going on that we can tap, is really fascinating. For example, the landfill that the city has at Samakau Island, it's really impressive. It's become a tourist attraction. Basically taking waste and using it. So there's really no waste to talk about, and there's even talk about using the ash from it as sand, new sand. If you look at how water is used and recycling water into water that's drinkable, new water, if you look at the cooling systems and underground cooling, all of that provides fantastic ideas. Today, we've heard about recycling even of fabric and doing fashion and interesting things and cool things to wear out of waste. This is all very smart, very innovative, and things that we can all be encouraged by and do more of and tap into more.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us. Please do tweet at us. The hashtag is Innovate4Climate. We'll be back soon. Thank you.
Thank you.